Hey everybody, it's David Pingree with Racer X for a new segment we're calling Dialed In. And what we're doing here is going back and revisiting a bike we've already introduced, a new model, once we've got some time on it. Try to give you guys some better specs and settings and things that we can do to make them better. So those who have bought bikes can go into this, use it as a resource to improve their motorcycle as it came right off the showroom without adding a bunch of parts or things like that. Feel free to use the forum at the bottom if you've got ideas or thoughts, suggestions for other people who may have bought the same bike. Throw them in there. That's what this is for. Today we're here at Cahuilla Creek Raceway riding the KTM 250, the 2016 model. I haven't had a chance to ride this thing yet. Super excited. We're going to put a bunch of laps on it today. We've got the tech, David, out here from KTM who's going to help us go through it, get us dialed in with what they've found, going out and testing with race team and other personnel to get this thing the best it can be right off the showroom. And then if there's anything I like, particularly for my own personal preference, I'll share that as well. And hopefully this helps those who've picked one of these things up. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of you. So let's go get this thing dirty. We've got some laps in on the 2016 KTM 250. A couple of the minor changes between this and the factory edition bike, different mapping and a little bit different suspension setting. They went in and kind of massaged it to be a better fit for the general consumer. And jumping right on, that's the first thing I noticed was the suspension is super plush. The feedback the guys at KTM are getting is that most people jump on it and say the setting is perfect. It's nice and supple in the little bumps. Anybody bigger, 185 plus, or anybody maybe fast intermediate expert rider, say it's a little bit soft. So I went out and rode it in stock trim, kind of said it was a little bit soft feeling for me. I'm 170 pounds. We just did a few adjustments on the clickers, went in a little bit on compression, high speed and low speed in the rear. Went about 4 clicks, same thing on the front. Definitely got the firmness back, and it was a little bit too quick. We slowed down the rebound a touch, and I kind of found where I was happy. So we actually went, from a quite soft to on the firm side for me. So there's a lot of adjustment within the clickers here. So I would recommend playing with it. You've got your compression clicker right here on the fork. You can literally, as you're riding, just take your hand and dial this up or down. So it's very easy to adjust. The shock, you obviously need to come in and do that with a screwdriver unless you're very tricky and can do it while you're riding. But there's a lot of adjustment in this suspension. I would say really mess with the clickers, find someone that can help you, that's got a good understanding of what they do, and find the setting. Sag on this, you want to be at about 110. That's their recommended sag height. So get that right and go out and just play with the clickers. As far as the engine, super broad power, lots of torque. Like I said, at 170, I like the stock gearing. I think if you went up a tooth, you're going to end up revving out too soon, coming out of turns and things like that. I would say if you're 150, if you're a lighter guy, anything like that, 160 even, you could probably get away with a 49. Stock is 50 tooth gearing. So play with that if you're within that weight range, or you think you carry enough speed through turns that you can pull it. The lower gearing you can get that way, the better. Tires were amazing on this. I would not recommend going away from these tires. As far as other changes that I made, I went in on the clutch and just adjusted all my levers in. It's something that is a pretty cool feature on these. You can adjust where the levers sit, and sometimes they come really far out stock. So pull those in, find a good comfortable spot for you. And that's really the chassis and suspension. Those are the only changes we made. Another point about the clutch here, sometimes it has a feeling to me like as you're releasing the clutch, it gets almost all the way out, and then it's all the way, it goes from being completely off to completely on. With the hydraulic clutch, you don't get some of that feel. I asked if there was any way we could make adjustments to that push rod in there. There is, but it's like a self-modification. It's something that you'd have to take it and grind it off and make some little modifications to it. There isn't a part or anything that KTM sell So maybe that's down the road. We can do a feature if that's something other people are feeling. We can try to do a feature on an adjustment or a change you can make there. But the clutch feel and action is great. It's self-adjusting, which is nice. The brakes I didn't touch. I love them. I've always had a great feel with these Brembos. The suspension settings, again, when you're setting that sag to 110, something that's really cool that I think a lot of the manufacturers have overlooked for a long time, and KTM did it. They've got a sag line on here. So if you look right on the rear fender, it says sag and there's a line. And you want to follow that path of travel between the axle and that point on the fender. So when you're setting your sag, always make sure you're using that line. 110 was our number there. And remember, on your clickers, they should come from your dealer in stock trim, which is 15 out on the forks, compression and rebound, 15 out on your compression and rebound, low speed, and rebound on the shock, and then all the way in on the high speed and 2 turns out. We went in about 5 clicks on everything and about a half a turn on the high speed. So that's where we're setting, that's where I liked it now. Again, that's going to change for your weight, for your speed, for the way you like the bike to feel. So when I say go out and play with it and feel it around, that's what you're going to have to do. All around, love this bike. Very, very little you have to do to make this thing fun, absolutely competitive in the 250 class. And you really can't go wrong with this machine. So thanks to KTM for having us out. Thanks for watching.